Alright everyone, I had a busy morning, so I'm not making my videos till now. It's time to talk about the UK election. Now, I said last night, before the exit polls, I expected the Conservatives would win. And they did win, but it's, what kind of a victory is it? Now, what happened is, like a month ago, it looked like the UK's Conservative movement was going to wipe out Labour almost out of existence. It'd be like the next Liberal Democrats. They'd have a supermajority, they could do what they wanted. I'm actually very pleased with the results in the UK. People are saying, oh, this is the death of British nationalism or something. That's not what this is about. What it appears more to be about is Theresa May is inept, a police statist whose big suggestion in the wake of the attacks there on London Bridge was we need to regulate the internet. Sort of an anti-charismatic figure. The Brexit stuff, I think, in a way, takes a back seat to that. Corbyn, meanwhile, is a socialist, is nuts, actually managed to piss off the Jewish population there with his Islamic apologism. And what happened on the actual eve of the election is the exit polls come out, and it looks like, oh no, Labour could actually end up winning. They had the first few results, they expected it. At the time, though, I weighed in and said, no, and I expect the Conservatives to win, and they did. But that's not an absolute victory. Now they have to form a coalition with the DUP, which are like North Irish loyalists as opposed to Sinn Féin or something. And that's really funny because they're more conservative than the so-called Conservative Party. They can't really ally with UKIP because UKIP doesn't really exist there anymore in their House of Commons or whatever. So they're kind of screwed, but it's actually a good thing. The election result is better than if the Conservatives had won a major victory. Because with Theresa May's saying, oh, we're going to regulate the internet, we're going to crack down on this terrorism stuff, that's just a backdoor to censorship of hate speech and things like that. The Conservative Party in the UK is not conservative. Not in any way, shape, or form. They would drag their heels on all of the so-called reforms they do want, other than police state bullcrap that's already heavily in sway in the UK and in everywhere else in the region. So it wouldn't really, doesn't affect Brexit. It's going to go forth as it was before. Would have anyway, because they've already triggered Brexit. It wouldn't really matter what ultimate form it takes. Because if you have leaders like Theresa May in the UK, it doesn't matter if you're an independent nation. You're an independent nation, but you're one run by a government just as bad almost as the EU's own authorities. It would have been economically far worse if Corbyn were the Prime Minister. That's for certain. It certainly would have led to massive waves of Islamo-fascist immigrants in the UK. But this way, you're still going to get that because the grassroots public fighting against dangerous ideologies cannot take place if Theresa May gets her regulated internet. It won't happen. You'll be thrown in the gulag for questioning government policies. It will be literally like 1984. What this election does is ensure Corbyn's anti-Brexit sort of maneuvers don't take place, so that's staved off. The Conservatives, meanwhile, do not have a mandate to go ahead with those more draconian schemes they may have, which probably are part of the reason why they didn't win by a greater margin, takes that hopefully off the table, and Brexit goes forth. So it's actually the best possible outcome to the election. They're having the Tory party way, way ahead wouldn't really be a benefit. Because, I mean, they're still globalists. They're just globalists that want their sovereign nation to take part in globalism and eradicate the post-national authority involved in the more direct sense. It doesn't mean that they escape out from under that deeply blood-stained umbrella, you could call it. But it's very funny, is with the DOP on board, of course. They might actually have to endorse a little bit of actual conservatism. And meanwhile, the left there is having a meltdown because when the exit polls first came out last night, or yesterday, UK time, of course, there's a time difference. They were expecting, oh, we might win at the very least. The Conservatives can't do anything on their own. They have to have a joint government with like SNP or something of all things in order to pull it off. And they didn't actually have to do that. It wasn't as bad for them as they at first, I think, anticipated. So I'm pleased. I mean, it's still a shitty election. You've got two main candidates. They suck. The two parties they represent suck. They lie to people constantly. They're both on board with multiculturalism, globalism, the police state. But the side that's less so, and at least wants to give the people of the UK the capability of eventually pulling away from that sort of poison. Stop drinking down the toxin, so to speak. At least they did win, but they don't carry the mandate necessary to go ahead with legalism that really would have prevented that from happening even with Brexit. So it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Having Labour gain a few seats, they don't have any power. They're still going to be overruled on everything by the conservative movement. But within the party now, Theresa May, who made these retarded suggestions, is facing calls from some within her own party to either resign or restructure everything to get her out of there. That's probably a good thing. Find somebody who's capable of leadership. Be a better thing. Why doesn't the Conservative, I don't know if this is legal under the UK system, why don't you draft Nigel Farage? Say, okay, well, we got a Brexit, so UKIP is kind of, as that one main platform, a useless movement with no power. Why don't we just grab Nigel Farage up, bring him back into the Conservative fold, and have, you know, a Conservative party that's actually got some conservative ideas? Why don't you try to do that? Give him command of the party. That'd be the best. Make him Prime Minister. Now, there are a lot of people over here that deeply respect Nigel Farage. You may think he's a little loopy or out there. I don't see him as being so. I see him making common sense suggestions and a lot of people pretending that what he's saying is bigoted or problematic in some way. Get him in as Prime Minister. Probably be the best Prime Minister you've ever had. It'd be a good thing for the country. It'd bring you more prestige and respect, I think, certainly from this side of the pond, if not from the Merkels and the Hollands and Macrons of the world. They'd probably scream bloody murder, but then again, look at the election result. They already didn't get what they wanted. They wanted your far left to piss away more of your economy, slow down Brexit as much as possible. That's what they were hoping for. This isn't a loss for sovereignty. In fact, it's the greatest possible victory sovereignty in the absolute sense could have, because it stymies Theresa May's degenerated sort of comments on internet regulation. If you want to destroy your own culture, all you have to do is destroy the means of people to communicate openly. That's all you have to do. Anything else is totally secondary. In the UK, it's already disarmed, so they can't rise up and have a revolution of arms. Therefore, they have to have a revolution of speech and thought and deeds not related to defending themselves. They have to force others within the government to bring back the ability of self-determination. That's a good thing. For that reason, I'm pleased, although again, you know, look at who's leading the UK, still inept, still a fool. That's about all. Peace out.